really think you have a chance against us, Mr. Cowboy?
Hey, motherfucker. What do you like to do?
Oh, I don't know. Play chess. Screw.
Well, let's play chess.
They give off to Jonathan Taylor. Jump cutting his way. Close to the goal line. He's in there. Touchdown. I-N-D-Y. Jonathan Taylor.
Wheeler finds Quan from the logo. Here's Halliburton into the front court. Mishandled it, but gets a shot. Hits it. Hits it.
John, I have never been better to be on the air with you here in Indianapolis, a place where so many of my dreams have come true.
The Ride with JMV on 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Jones goes out of the gun. He's going to take to the air on first down. Plants in the pocket, looking left, flies it down the near side.
Got him.
Tyler Warren a catch inside the red zone. The Penn State inside the 15, and he's pushed out of bounds at the Green Bay 11-yard line. 3rd and 9 after the penalty. Move the ball back to the 24. The Packers are bringing the blitz. Richardson in trouble. Gets out of the initial wave. Going to take off. There's a flag on the play. Richardson's scramble will conclude around the 15-yard line. This is going to be defensive holding, though, on the Packers, and the scramble for Anthony Richardson might be enough to produce a first down. 2nd down and goal for the Colts at the 3. They're quickly right back on the ball. Richardson out of the gun. They give it to Goodson right up the middle. Now he's angling to the right, looking for the goal line. He's in. Touchdown, Tyler Goodson. A run into the end zone of 3 yards. And the Colts have the first touchdown of the game. El Gersma, the rookie, backs the throw. Clean pocket. Checks it down. Caught by Wilson. 45, 50. Down the far sideline into Colts territory. 30. 25, and he is blasted out of bounds by the Colts around the 20-yard line. Emmanuel Wilson. Now it's going to be about a 43-yard field goal here for the rookie Mark McNamee of Irish background. This one is up, and it is good. El Gersma to Eboniconda, going left, powering upfield. Into the end zone he goes. Touchdown. It's their first touchdown of the game. And it's now the Colts 13 and Green Bay 9 with 4 minutes and 19 seconds to go, 3rd quarter. This will be a 56-yard field goal. Ball in the near hash. Rigo Sanchez to put it down. There's the spot. Kick is on its way. It's headed for the uprights, and it is good. Woo! Spencer Schrader. Good from 56. El Gersma out of the gun. Ball in the right hash. Shotgun snap to the quarterback. Hands off to Amar Johnson. Johnson bouncing off of tacklers, and he's into the end zone with 2nd and 3rd effort from 9 yards out. Amar Johnson, touchdown, and that ties the game here at the moment. Out of the gun, takes a handoff, rolling left. He's at the 10, he's at the 5, he's going to run in, untouched, touchdown. Quarterback run by Clifford, 11 yards. Sean Clifford into the end zone, and Green Bay has the lead. Bean out of the gun. In motion is Coleman Owen back to the left side. Shotgun snap for Bean, feeling the pressure. Pass time, throws downfield to Lonnie Woods, makes the catch of the pylon, and he is out of bounds at the 1-yard line for a gain of 30. 6 seconds to go, and the Colts are 1 yard away from possibly winning the game.
After reviewing, the ruling was an incomplete pass.
Well, what is that?
A very anticlimactic finish here at Lucas Oil in preseason game number 2, and it belongs to the Green Bay Packers. It's Green Bay 23 and the Indianapolis Colts 19.
Is this me? I love the, what's that? There's not more, James? What's that? Love you, Joe writes right there. That's Matt. That's Joe from the Colts Radio Network. That, of course, from this past Saturday afternoon and preseason game 2. Hey, welcome to the show. Got a busy one for you later on today. I'll lay it all out for you. I know mostly there is going to be this constant debate regarding who is going to start at quarterback for the Colts, and I'm not downplaying any of this, and I hate it. Absolutely hate the fact I have to take this particular angle. And it's not regarding the decision. You know where I've stood. I've not had or felt the need to get into constant debate on social media because I've said it's going to be Anthony Richardson. That's what I've said. I've not wavered. People automatically say, well, you know what? He can't do this. Yeah, I know. Why do you want him starting? I like Daniel Jones better. He's a guy that's already done it. Yeah, I know. The problem that I have And what I hate more than ever is coming to a conclusion that, again, is going to take even more information or results or lack thereof still to come. But my conclusion is that it's going to be Richardson. And as I mentioned this morning on X, it's like a flip of the coin. Those out there, and mostly of the older generation, are sick and tired of this whole story of being super quarterback and super athlete, and it just takes time, and he's young, and everything is going to be okay. Those older have lived through, generationally speaking, the times when we didn't have to mess with this stupid crap, when there was no debate, when you didn't worry about any of this. Remember those good old days? Seriously, it is just like me talking about music or movies or fun or lack of responsibility. Everything back in the day, as I've said before, always seems to be better. And in the case of the Colts, it is. And I'm not talking about back in the day when they first got here, but back during the Napoleon, the Dungy, the Manning era, it was better. You didn't worry about any of this. Now, again, it was long before you could have, on a second-by-second basis, all these debates, and I've got to see film. Like my good friend Bobby Jefferson said something, and I have never felt anything has been written so accurately over the weekend until I saw this. He said, I can't wait until they make a decision so I can stop seeing all this film breakdown from people that couldn't break down film in the first place. That is absolutely correct. I can't wait either. The problem we're going to have is it's not going to go away. It's going to continue because you might have different quarterbacks, but you're going to end up having the same result. And it's whatever flavor that you dig right now. As I mentioned, the older generation, much like you felt a year ago about Flacco, much like you felt a couple of years ago regarding Gardner Minshew, you feel better with the veteran that you trust that's not going to make a mistake, is going to read this and make the layups. Here's the thing that everybody talks about Anthony Richardson. All he has to do is make the layups, kind of like the WNBA. The layups aren't a given. That's a problem. The layups on this team are not a given. That's why I find it difficult to look at this schedule when others suggest it's conducive to a higher level of winning. Somebody is going to have to help me figure out why that's the case. Because I look at the first 2 weeks, and when you describe Miami, you go, well, you've got a quarterback that's always injured. You got a quarterback that's never been quite what everybody thought he was going to be. And I go, oh, that sounds familiar. You've got guys on the outside that have skill, but you can't get them the ball. Sometimes you got some internal junk. There are, I think, parallels to draw here. Which, what I'm trying to say is the two teams aren't far enough away from one another to just say, well, that's a given. Especially the way this Colts team consistently has played in the past 10 years coming out of the gates to start a regular season. And somebody had told me this on Saturday. I guess people, and I wasn't privy to this, but people are sick and tired of hearing about just how great Sean Payton in Denver is going to be. About how great Sean Payton in Denver is going to be and how they're going to, unseat Kansas City, and that is going to be the dark horse. While I understand because Sean Payton is a really good coach. Very good coach. And you can think if there's somebody that's going to be able to take that team from the step they made a year ago to the next step, okay. But, you're talking about that as well in week number 2. I don't know where you look at this schedule and anything with this football team is a given. And let me tell you this before we really get started in this debate and conversation today. I'm as sick of having this as you are hearing it. True story. And in fact, I've been around here having to talk about it and then hear it back longer than most of you have. So I'm sick of it. I am. So when Bobby Jefferson wrote that, he goes, man, I just want them to make a decision. And there is nothing that I agree with more. Yeah, just make a decision and go. Like, to me, the reason why I've gone with Richardson all along is because I know damn well that Daniel Jones is going to play. And to me, if Richardson, if and when, I believe he's going to be named the starter, I guess coming up tomorrow. We got to, prolong the crescendo here. Make sure everybody, I don't know, it's going to get leaked probably later on tonight. And then everybody's going to be ripping all the local reporters because they don't get it. And see, that's one thing. And I know most of the time it ends up being agents or whatever, within. But, man, if I were to ever to find out that it's those over there that have all these people following them around with bated breath every day, and then you end up giving that to somebody nationally only for the local people to get crushed, I'd be really pissed about that. I give this to those that have been around here for a long time or that follow your ass around all the time. I mean, if you're going to leak it, and I know that they are not the ones most of the time that are leaking it, but if it does get, let me leak it to somebody around here. All right, get some folks off their back. Because you can't have a conversation about it because somebody is going to say, well, there's the reason why. Nobody really believes in Daniel Jones. You have no reason to. You just have every reason in the world not to believe in Anthony Richardson. It is just an awful space to occupy. Zero reason to believe in Richardson. The only thing this entire discussion has going for it is it's the start of the season. And of the NFL, more so than anywhere else, more so than Major League Baseball, certainly the NBA, hope springs eternal. I know that sounds lame, but by God, that's true. The Colts just haven't handled their opportunities accurately when they've been there, whether it's, been on the field or off the field. They just simply put haven't. And by the way, too, also, the older generation also are of the opinion that it's time to move on organizationally. Now, these are both opinions regarding the quarterback and the organization that, I was ready to go ahead and restart things last year. Anytime. I just think we have seen what we have seen to the best of its ability, and it's not going to be much greater than that. But again, here we are, so we have to have the conversation. Again, I completely understand why you're worn out on the conversation because we've had a conversation, a debate, a dialogue similar to this for so many years. That's why when I was doing the crosstalk there with Jake, we've got Zach Keefer coming on a little bit later on, and I do want to hear his angle regarding the Colts and what he's thinking because he's been a long time coverer of the NFL, and in particular of the Colts. But I also recognize, and with respect to Zach, he's got a big story that everybody's responding to, and this is going to be the curmudgeon coming out in me, and I'm okay with it. But he's got a big story that just popped regarding Andrew Luck. And I sit here, and I can honestly tell you, I don't dislike Andrew Luck, but I can tell you that I don't give a damn. I don't care. Not at all. I don't even care about what was the story and why and what the feeling is and the feeling then compared to the feeling now. I just don't care. Now, I am going to be a really nice host because I like Zach a great deal, and I want him to at least give a mention of his story, but I guess that makes me, I'm 55, curmudgeon-y maybe a little bit. Is that how I sound? Yes, you're right. Well, this is why this team is where it is right now. I would also suggest the whole Manning decision is why this team is where it is right now. But again, this is all stuff that we've gone over and over. It is time, like when you get that little Etch-a-Sketch pad, I don't know if you either, pull the page up and start anew or, shake it up and start anew. But we've long been past that. The problem that we have is you have to get caught up because you're living in it. There's nowhere to go. I mean, even if the jackass owner of the Reds, where else you're going to go, as stupid as that sounds, I mean, either you stop paying attention, which is an issue, or you go find somebody else to root for, which is probably not going to happen. I mean, there's a lot of civic pride with this team around here. You want to be able to talk glowing about it. And you know what? Now more than ever, you feel so good because you're coming off that Pacer season. It was glorious. And they didn't win it all. It was glorious. And really, everything that seemingly happens to your favorite sports teams and personalities around here ended up happening to the Pacers. You had a bill to pay. The bill was, hey, you're going to get all the way here, but we're going to go ahead and tie up in a pretzel the Achilles of your best player. That's what we're going to do. So you're going to get about 5 seconds of enjoyment, and then one of your other guys that's been here for 10 years is going to bail someplace else and yip-yap his mouth and sound stupid when he exits out the door and goes to Milwaukee. I understand completely. It wears you out. Hey, James, here's another sign that I don't know if you were privy to this on Friday. You weren't here. That somebody started in the morning chat room that my mom had died. But here's another. Here's proof of life right here because here she is at 316. I've been doing this job since 2000. Actually, with Mark Patrick all the way back to 2000. Mm-hmm. And between 3 and 6, I've always been on every day in 316. Mm-hmm. So she is right here. Proof of life that G is alive.
I mean, it's not a work week if she doesn't call you at least once during the show.
Yeah, I mean, it's in. And see, that does concern me, though, because I'm wondering what day and time do we expect it to be here. So, I just talked to her this morning, the sweet wake-up call. But somebody started in the chat room on the morning show that she had died. So I had to, run around and put out some fire. It wasn't a big deal. She found it kind of funny, in fact. But I had to go around and make sure Blake or Laney didn't catch word of that. Weirdness right there.
Yeah.
But it turned out okay.
Well, I'm glad to hear everything's all good.
Yeah. So she is in your proof of life right there.
Yep.
Let me see the message she just left. You ready?
Oh, yeah.
Hello is what I just got. Hello. See, not there. Anyway, there's proof of life. You missed a little bit in the latter portions of the week right there.
Sounds like an eventful end of the week.
Very, very eventful end of the week. But proof of life for G. All right, anyway, we're going to go over the debate regarding quarterbacks today. You know where I stand. I'll stay here regarding Anthony Richardson. I have zero deeply rooted belief whatsoever. I have zero belief. I don't have any belief in Daniel Jones either. I also have very little belief that, I don't know, if you weren't already going to start somebody, I don't know how you decipher there being a difference. It's weird. You watch these guys play, and when one is, oh, wow, okay, they're pretty good. The other one is, oh, yeah, he's pretty good. And then when they both suck, they both suck. It's weird. It's like at the same time. Now, eyeball separation for us is different than what you get with those that are around it every day and see it. And Shane Steichen had mentioned over the weekend that it's also, about the whole dynamic. We have to hear process 9,000 times and pre-snap this and getting ready for that and preparation. So a lot of people believe that maybe is an angle for Daniel Jones. All I can say to you is it's going to happen soon enough. I just think that if you go with Anthony Richardson and there's an injury or there's an inefficiency again that we see that calls for a change in quarterback, then that absolutely is going to be all she wrote. That's going to be it. And then you have the definitive answer. Now, I felt last year we had the definitive answer, but we didn't. They didn't. I guess we did. They didn't. So I think you can come up with that. Especially you look at Miami, and they have a secondary that's either defected or injured. Defection, I guess, wouldn't be traded, but wanted out, whatever the situation. They have a brand spanking new secondary that has really little to no experience. If you're a quarterback here in week one and you know how meaningful that is, the start of the season, again, that whole hope springs eternal jazz, and you know the history of this team not being able to get out of their own way in the preseason, or I should say early on in the regular season, and you understand the priority of this, if you as a quarterback aren't going to be able to handle that in week number 1, then how about nobody? A lot of you want Riley Leonard. How about Riley Leonard then? I don't care if you're Anthony Richardson, Daniel Jones, or anybody. You better be able to handle what's coming at you against the Dolphins. I will say this. I think Denver is going to be different in week number 2, but it's like the Dolphins. Here is a start against a pseudo-playoff team that's got skilled position players, but more times than not, they're an injured mess, or just a mess in general, a decision-making mess. You're fortunate to be able to start out that way. So, to me, if you're a quarterback, whomever ends up getting the nod, and as I've told you all along, I believe it to be Anthony Richardson, you better have success in that. There better be offensive success. We'll see what the defense does against the outside players there, and whether or not quarterback stays healthy. All those questions can be answered, but our major focus is that of offense. You got to be able to do something against that defense coming in here in week number 1. I mean, if you don't, I can't imagine what week 2 is going to look like against the Denver Broncos. So I'll stick with it. I have the entire time. Again, that's why I have not joined in the constant debate. And if you're going to say, well, wait a minute, does that mean you're not believing in Daniel Jones? Well, of course I don't believe in Daniel Jones. What would make – why would you? It's like, why would I? I don't believe in Anthony Richardson. Why would I? I mean, we're sane and we're sound. Like, our eyes are open. We watch. We listen. Why would you? That's why I've said all along, until further notice, this is something that you're going to have to build the believers. And you just haven't been able to do that. I mean, these guys, to me, in different ways, look the same, which is frightening at that position. In different ways, look the same. One guy does one thing kind of well, the other guy doesn't, but then the other guy does something well, the other guy, Maybe you can, like, put them out there like Master Blaster in Thunderdome. Like, stack them on top of one another and just like to run the same dude out there. Seriously, I apologize for the incessant debate, but as Richard Gere said, in An Officer and a Gentleman, I've got nowhere else to go. I've got nowhere else to go. We're all in this same gang right here. And as I mentioned, until further notice, the one constant outside of having that conversation has been the incessant injuries we have seen from team to team. It seemingly does not matter if you root for a team around here. At some point, somebody's ass is going to be injured. And this was supposed to be this glowingly awesome season for the Fever. I'll give them credit because you're still keeping your head above water, but they're going to be going to the MIT conference and trying to get some players here pretty soon because you're running out of players. Yeah, the Sophie Cunningham play, everybody wants to make something, and let me rephrase what I mentioned last week about WNBA officials. They absolutely stink. They're awful. But you know that to be true. And for those that said, you know what, and I can't even remember who the player was, James, when Sophie Cunningham was injured yesterday, that was purposely, I didn't see anything purposely done. I saw a girl fall down, I mean, I don't know what else to say. Ran over a defensive player and then fell down into another defensive player. Now, that's what I saw. And once again, another injury. We'll follow that story. It was a resilient group, and Kelsey Mitchell was outstanding, putting up 38. That was impressive. And an overtime win. So that was the good news. The bad news is we await more of the consistent news that's been around here, and that is an injury situation that could be severe to Sophie Cunningham. Xavier Howard's 32, hadn't played in a couple of years. think he got worked out by the Bengals in December of a year ago when Lou Anarumo was there. But because of the mash unit in the Colts secondary, the 32-year-old defensive back was brought in reportedly earlier today for a little cornerback support. We'll get into that. Zach Keefer's going to join us. Stephen Holder also on the way. If any news breaks, you know where to be. And if you want to jump in on the conversation, 239-1070 is that number. 317-239-1070. You can also hit the text thread stream or whatever the hell we call that right here. And I can also read what you have to say right here on the air. James, are we doing a fantasy football league?
Yes, we are. I have got it mostly kind of preliminarily set up. We still got to figure out when we want to do the trying to get everybody involved, trying to get everybody in there, but it's pretty much set up and ready to go right
I may
now.
have to call my team hello on behalf of my mom.
On your mom? Gotcha.
Hello. Well, I didn't know you worked in just for 25 years. 30 years. So
We just need to get your mom involved in the fantasy football league.
Yeah, that's what I need.
Give her a
do.
team.
That's what we all need right there. We need a little bit of that, don't we? I gotta get some flooring down there to her stat.
Oh, really?
She's in need of some flooring. Anybody have any glue? I'm ready to come get your glue. James is back. James, good to see you again. Zach Keefer, Stephen Holder. We're going to take a break. We'll come back to stream the app. It's HD Radio, AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. Hope you had an outstanding weekend as I did. We'll get into all that and more. 93.5 and 107.5 The Fan.
and the beat goes on. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
It's the very expensive question I think that everyone's wondering about, and I think the best thing, this is one of the best camps we've had in quite a long time, and I think one of the things that we talked about in June was there's nothing that like makes the good things rise to the surface better than competition, and I think having Daniel in here with Anthony, he's obviously had more experience than Anthony, but I think that room as a whole, they're competing in camp, but they are, they've each done things well. They've also made mistakes. So again, it's Shane is going to have a tough decision to make, but I feel confident he's going to make the right decision.
Carly Ursay Gordon, Colts owner. During the game on Saturday, I think what happens is you want this to be a quarterback competition, meaning you want one or the other to be pushed to a degree. At least that's what I always thought detailed competition was about. To be pushed to a different level. Now, mind you, I'm living in the world of the preseason still here, so I don't want to hear about, well, what about in October? Hell, I don't know about October. I've known in the past what October has detailed. I don't know this year yet. The problem is, am I the only one? And this is not coming with a slap rock attitude or, hey, you just want to whine and complain about something. No, I sit here 3 hours a day and give you honest opinions, and honestly, there's nobody, either one, better than the other. Nobody's really been pushed with this competition to a higher level that we can see. Now, I'm just talking about what we can see, what we have seen so far, and you would hope it would translate in games. I mean, hell, anybody can be a fantastic practice player. But that's what I mean about all of this, and that's what I meant from the outset. Is if you're going to have a competition, you want that competition to equate to pushing one or the other definitively to a higher level. And you go, oh, yeah, you see? That's what I don't get out of any of this. It's just like the same old, and one goes in and one goes out. So to me, if this is the same old, then 5 is going to represent in week number 1. And I felt that all along. Because if you live in the world of the same old, the more 5 is out there, the more logically speaking, 5 is going to come out of there for one reason or the other. This whole competition thing, everybody loves it. Does anybody else feel that it's had this profound effect on everything? It's like ho-hum. And that's been this organization for about 10 years, ho-hum. JMV, this is from do I call it text stream? It's called text groove. What the hell do I call this?
The text line?
Why does this not work any differently than saying my email address? Do we know?
No idea.
Cool. I will say this, and I do remember, I was the one that said on Friday, whatever you do, however you get to us, however you're able to listen or communicate, I'm down with. So I'm cool with this. I'm just trying to rationalize how it's different than what we normally do. Anyway, so I call it the text stream?
Text stream, text line, text hotline.
The text line, the 239-1070 from BT. Daniel Jones is just another retread. He hasn't worked out anywhere. Tired of this crap. Garbage QBs thinking they'd work here. Wentz, Ryan, Flacco. And you can tell, too, I mentioned this, and now people are kind of getting on board with it. The older generation, and I guess, see, I'm different. I'm going with 5, but I just don't think that there's enough of a difference, and I thought 5 was going to be the starter all along. But normally here you can see the older generation want to see Daniel Jones because they long since have given up on Anthony Richardson. And the younger generation think Anthony Richardson, because a lot of them are dorks or come right out of a video game, some dorky game they're playing on Saturday night when they're not going out anywhere. So that's kind of the way that it is. That's how I've rationalized this entire debate. Young dorks and old curmudgeons. It's like a battle royale right here. James, would that be a really good battle royale in wrestling? Young dorks versus old crusty curmudgeons. That'd be good, wouldn't it? Who would win? Would the young dorks have a chance? Are you a young dork or a crusty curmudgeon?
I feel like I'm starting to get into the curmudgeon phase
you graduating to curmudgeon?
I'm getting there a little bit.
I live 24/7, 365 in the world of curmudgeon. My problem is I'm caught between hillbilly and douche. I'm a hill douche. And I think maybe the first of its kind. 239-1070. That is the text stream, or the text line, if you will. I got some calls I'm going to get to. So, Zach, at the top of the hour, how can I promote Zach's latest work without going too detail into something I don't give a damn about? That's Andrew Luck. How do we do that? I tell you what. Let's do this. Here's something, a little usefulness for the text line. How much do you want to hear about Andrew Luck? And Zach is a tremendous writer, a friend of the show, a friend of mine. I respect him a great deal. I have him on because I like to converse football with him. But I have to tell you that I am completely over and out on Andrew Luck stuff. Over and out. Like, Andrew Luck has joined to me, long ago, but to me, Andrew Luck has joined the class basketball discussion. That's where I shelf that. So, to Luck or not to Luck? 317-239-1070. That is the text line. And also the number. Mike in Brooklyn is joining today. Hey, Mike, am I making sense out of this whole quarterback debate? Because I'm trying my damnedest.
JMV, listen, I love you. Keep doing what you do. You're cracking me up. You got a real gift for putting things in perspective.
Good. I'm trying to put it in perspective because you're dealing right here with the simplest and the lowest common denominator, which is me. So I don't have to raise the bar very far.
No, you captured the whole
sweet
pulse of the fan base. I think, especially another curmudgeon here myself, for the most part.
Yes, I think that's where we are located right now. What you got, buddy?
Yeah. Listen, last week you pretty much you said something pretty sobering when somebody asked you what's the worst case scenario, and it's 10-7 with Richardson, and we re up everybody. And I was thinking about that, and I was like, you know what? Yeah. And then I was thinking, if it makes sense, that's kind of like the worst case and the best case scenario, because like some of the Colts fans are looking to tank. Arch Manning is not coming out next year either. So, his grandfather pretty much confirmed that he's not going to leave Texas.
Do you think he comes out if, like, New Orleans, for example, has a top pick?
No, I completely – I take that family for their word. If Archie Manning says he's staying in school for 4 years, he's going to be just like Eli and Peyton. I mean, pretty much he said his grandfather said he'll never do that to Texas. So I think I would take that to the bank. As far as him coming out. But yes. So, I had over here, I had to wait till the NFL Network replayed the game. I mean, I've seen the highlights and everything. And watching that game, I got to say, I was looking for some proof of life from Anthony Richardson. And, I'm kind of like a football fanatic. I watch preseason games. I'd rather watch a preseason Colt game than Game 7 in the World Series. And he looks like his footwork has gotten better. He's there's like at least some. I mean, I know it's preseason, but he looks like there's some improvement there. Aside from the first game, so I don't want to get like too overboard on it, But at least there was something there, And the fact that this kid is still young, if you want to go on a Gene Kranz type of outlook on it, I kind of like the fact that, he took his benching like a man last year. He seems like a good kid. I don't know. I'm not ready to give up on him like 100% yet. I'm still hoping because I don't think that we have anything else. If you're going to clean house, there's no guarantees you're going to be set back for like another 4 or 5 years,
So I just got this. Mike in Brooklyn. Listen, this is from somebody named Super Pony. You can call Anthony, and obviously the whole dynamic here is completely lost. You can call Anthony Richardson believers, video game dorks, all you want. But if he is good and he does figure it out this season, stay on that side, don't switch up. It's so funny because that's all this debate is about to sub. All right? That's all it's about. It's not even about this team being good. It's about them being right about this guy or their guy. That's all it's about. I'm not going to embrace either category because neither's going anywhere. When will people recognize this, Mike? Neither goes anywhere. When will this be recognized? I mean, it's just funny. It's like, well, hey, you know what? If you don't, it's like you want to win the debate more than you want to see them win the game. You would rather win the debate and see them lose the game. I don't get that. I guess I never will. That's why I'm the curmudgeon side, I guess.
No, I get you. I get you. The thing with me is I just want to win.
That's what it's supposed to be all about. The problem is, and you brought it up, Mike, at the outset. The problem is you go 10-7, and we have been so humbled here over the past 10 years of that being a high bar. Everybody is going to be going crazy and excited about it, and really you may similarly be in the category in which you have lived over the past 10 years. The only thing is if Richardson is able to consistently put something together, but the problem you have with him is it's not just his operation or his process, it's his availability. There's a lot of stuff that has to come correct, in one moment in time and sustain for this to work. And we haven't seen really any sense of that in the first 2 years on any level.
Not at all. Not at all. Hey, you think? I was thinking, as far as the injury thing, I'm thinking, is Steichen going to be able to run like a college offense, throw caution to the wind, and just run that, let him run, and injury? If he's going to get injured, he's going to get injured. But he overburdens him mentally. I think Steichen just wants to run his offense, and he's putting so much on his plate mentally. I'd rather see him simplify things and then not worry about him.
Well, with Richardson, clearly less is going to be more. And this is the whole weird dynamic with Jones. It's like more is less. The more you put on his plate, the less you believe in it. But with Richardson, the less that you give him operationally, it seems like the better opportunity that he has, if that makes sense. It's weird. It's just an incredibly weird and we have lived through, Mike, a bunch of weird dynamics here. We have at that position, certainly. Mike, I appreciate you. We'll see what happens tomorrow because I would think later on tonight, maybe sometime tomorrow morning, news in some form or fashion will leak or break, and we'll talk it up tomorrow again.
All right, JMV. Thank you.
All right, quick break. You got that. Quick break, and we shall come back. You guys recognize what I talked about there about you want to be right at what cost? Like, I'd rather be wrong and see you guys have a hell of a time around here. I don't give a damn. But hey, well, you can't come. You got to stay in your level, whatever dorkdom that is. I absolutely hope something works because this whole thing has stunk for a while. And is really unrecognizable. And those that have lived through those really good, consistent times, you want a little taste again. I don't blame you. Text line 317-239-1070. That is regarding Zach Keefer coming up on the inbound at the top of the hour. Stephen Holder's going to be here as well. Sophie Cunningham's latest, and of course, something regarding the Pacers where actually somebody out there agrees with me. That's a plus. Back with you next.
The Ride with JMV.
Attention, whoever you are, this channel is reserved for emergency calls only.
Lady, do I sound like I'm ordering a pizza?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
I really don't know. It really doesn't matter what I think at the end of the day. It's really up to them. I feel like I've been trying to put my best foot forward, trying to grow each and every step of the way. I feel like I've been doing a decent job, and improving. But at the end of the day, I just want to keep improving. And if I do win a job, thank God. If not, I need to keep working.
So Anthony Richardson right there, who I believe and have since March will be the starter in week number 1. We have yet to learn anything official. However, we did learn earlier today, and Lou Anarumo described him as an elite interceptor. Of course, Lou Anarumo, the defensive coordinator of the Colts, talking about Xavier Howard. I believe Howard worked out. He's 32. Hasn't been involved recently. I forget, maybe the last year or so, year or two. But actually had a workout for the Bengals in December of a year ago. An elite interceptor is 32. And listen, I don't think this is a backhanded compliment or a slap of any kind, but you got to bring somebody in because everybody's dinged. Everybody's injured. And I will say this, I think we're at a moment in history now in Indy to where you just have a stash of players hidden away somewhere, ready, kind of what you have, with clothes when you change seasons, and because you know that a majority of the players anywhere important, they're all going to be injured. Like, people think, what can we do to get the Colts back on track? Ever since Peyton Manning was cut, it was like the whole Billy Goat thing with the Cubs. Bad luck. What can we do? An exorcism, get a Ouija board out. What can we do? I'll tell you what you can do. Stop thinking about that. The injury thing is what is problematic, and it is nonstop. It is, seriously, the injury situation is like that weed growing in your yard. And even Pat Sullivan's going to say, well, you just pour all this crap all over and it goes away, and it doesn't. The thing that has been most resilient here is injuries. It's incredible in any form or fashion. And I know that we all haven't been perfect. I haven't been perfect. You're not perfect. But what in the hell have we done to deserve this? Seriously. Oh, woe is me. JMV, you act like what you just described. You've been saying AR will never improve and he's never going to turn into anything since he was drafted. You always get so wild up insisting that you seem emotionally invested in wanting to be right. Seems personal. Does it seem personal with Anthony Richardson? I don't believe that. I think that that's been your opinion all along, and you're not going to be swayed. I doubt if there is anything. Here's my personal feeling. I don't give a damn who's quarterback, as long as they win some games and maybe get a little juice going around here. Maybe a little return on investment for people, for fans, for those that advertise with them. That's what I want. Everything else can get just lost in the laundry as far as I'm concerned. I'll get back to that point in a moment. It's a decent point. Sometimes this guy is like pseudo-jackass, but I think this is a good point. We'll relive the good point moment coming up after 4. Zach Keefer, Stephen Holder, don't go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
Ride with JMV.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says, I just whipped your ass.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
We are so grateful to have Chris and Shane because I think Rick can probably speak to this. If you're a head coach and you don't get along with your general manager and you don't trust them, it's a total nightmare. So I think the great thing about Chris and Shane is they don't always agree, but they discuss it, and I think they make better decisions because they each have a unique kind of approach that I think makes us better as a whole.
Hey, shout out to Carly Ursay Gordon for going on, as her late father normally would. During Saturday's preseason game with Greg Rakestraw and Rick Venturi, that was against the Packers. I don't know if we know any more about who should start or who isn't going to start, who ends up winning this competition. I've just said all along, going all the way back to March, that this is going to end up being Anthony Richardson. And all I have to go on would be the eyeballs, and I just don't see any reason as to why it's still not going to be. And that's even before you consider the other factors, which we will in just a second. I'll get back to a comment that I do want to concentrate on in a moment. We do have a Colts Daily Update coming up here, right? In a little bit, too. Stephen Holder is going to join us coming up at the top of the 5 o'clock hour. We also have the 2025 Fantasy Football League, where we're about ready to pop that. Are we all going to do this on X, or are we going to, spread the wealth on this bad boy here?
The way I've done this in the past is I've sent out a tweet. Whoever retweets it, whoever reposts it, comments on it or whatever, you kind of get entered in the chance to get in the league. And then I just pick randomly based on that. If we want to expand it and maybe throw it out to the text line, that's possible. I've just always done it through X mainly.
All right. And we're going to be playing for beverages. I think I've said that wrong in the past, and people go, well, you know what you're promoting? I go, yeah. A little bit of fun.
Free samples? Is that the...
Free samples. Free samples. Thank you, James. This is brought to you by Free Samples. And by the way, too, if you've never contacted me to get your free samples, don't blame me, all right? I'm not going to track your ass down. I rode around for 6 months with a liquor store with free samples in the back of my truck, all right? So 6 months. I go, hey. Every time I turned a corner, there was like jingle and jangling going on back there.
Did the winner eventually get there?
Yes,
their
they
winnings?
did.
Okay.
But, man, we'll meet someplace and make the sample transfer. Stephen Holder, less than an hour away. No firm decision reported as of yet regarding who's going to start in week number 1. One preseason game remaining on Saturday against Cincinnati. Xavier Howard is in. He's a 32-year-old former cornerback. Actually was really good going back a couple of seasons ago. But let's just say this, the Colts needed anything at that position. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, he is a friend of the show. He writes for The Athletic and then some. I think this story's going to be taken off, and I'm sure we'll get to that in a second. I do want to start with the Colts with Zach Keefer, who joins us on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. What do you think this decision ultimately ends up here, at least for the start of the season, Zach?
Yeah, right. The clock's ticking, right? Like, make a call. I think it should be Anthony Richardson because of everything you've talked about the last couple of weeks. I feel like if he would have fallen on his face, we would have seen that in the preseason. We would have seen that in training camp. He's not done that. He sounds a little bit different. The play's been a little bit better. He's certainly not a polished prospect still. There's going to be mistakes, but he hasn't given this job up. But, John, I come back to a couple of things. When I talked to Daniel Jones at camp a couple of weeks ago, he said, you know, this is what Shane told us when he sat us down at the beginning of camp about how the job is going to be decided as to who gets it. And he said, who can the coaches trust? And then on Saturday, after they lost to the Packers, the first thing Shane Steichen said when he talked about how he's going to make this decision was the operation. So that gives me a little bit of pause. And there's a little bit of national buzz, at least from the national reporters that, helicopter into camp and talk to Shane Steichen about, Daniel Jones being the guy that he can trust a little bit more. I still think, unless there's something I don't know about Anthony Richardson behind closed doors, not preparing or all that, which I've heard none of this training camp, if he's preparing, if he's been the guy, if he's been mature, I go with the kid. I let him start his third season under center as the guy. But at this point, it's late August. You need to get this team solidified because you have all those injuries you just mentioned. Like, you need to have this quarterback position solidified ASAP. It's time to finish this competition and pick a guy.
Have you noticed there being a gap whatsoever between these two? Because to me, the essence of a competition is one guy pushing the other and then somebody raising the bar of their game because of that competition. And I know we're not privy to all that goes on. I sure as hell haven't been up there every moment and writing on a notepad what has transpired. But from what I've witnessed, especially when it's mattered in games so far, other than a pinky going east and west instead of north and south and not reading a certain situation, I don't think there's a wide gap at all between these two guys. I don't think they've raised their game because of one another in this competition. Do you?
That's the funny part. I agree completely with you. I don't think there's a wide gap because I don't think either of them are very good. Like, can we just say what's going on here? Like, I do
daily here, and so yes, I know.
And the other thing I agree with that you've said several times is they're both going to play this season. Like, I really believe that. Whoever you decide to start week one, just based on how things have gone, if it's going to be Richardson, the guy couldn't last one preseason drive without getting knocked out of the game. And I know that's unfortunate, and that's not what they want to happen. But the reality is, I expect both of them to start games this season. And the other reality is, let's say this is a fringe playoff roster. They got a lot of pieces that are really good football players, right? They got the new DC. They should be better on defense. They've got weapons on offense. They've got the new tight end, all that. We all know that none of it matters unless they get good quarterback play. And I'm not convinced they're going to get good quarterback play for 17 weeks. And in this division, which is getting a little bit better, Cam Ward looks good. He's a rookie. The Jaguars have to be better. Lawrence has to be better. And the Texans, if they fix their offensive line, should still be the best team in the division. I'm just not sure where the Colts stack up in terms of quarterback play in the AFC South, which remains a very winnable division. But when you don't have that spot figured out, does anything else really matter?
There's a philosophy that's called in sports, it's not where you start, it's where you finish. Can that be applied to this whole debate and the start of the season at quarterback for the Colts? Does it matter where you start? Just matters where you finish. And I've said this before, Zach, I don't care if you're a quarterback, if I'm quarterback, it doesn't matter to me. This is such a juiceless organization right now that needs, an infusion of some winning, some positivity, not just in a fleeting moment. It doesn't matter who it is, as long as that in some form or fashion is provided. Is that fair?
100%. And I go back to early June, and I kept getting asked some questions about the Colts quarterback situation. And I said, you better enjoy the Pacers playoff run because this is really fun right now. And I'm not sure the fall and the winter is going to be that fun. I will say this, and I'm doing this quarterback project about why young quarterbacks fail. And I'm not saying that Anthony Richardson is going to fail, but I've been looking into basically asking sources from around the league, quarterbacks included, why teams fail young quarterbacks so often. And the reality is a lot of times they don't make these guys earn it from the jump. And Peyton Manning said that was a big part of it that he sees across the league. And I will give the Colts credit. If this season has any juice, it's the hope that rests with number 5. And we've seen it in camp. We've seen it in a little bit of the preseason. Like, he can still do some special things. And there's no reason to think he can't continue to get better if everything is right there in front of him and he buys in. So I will give the Colts credit for running a legit quarterback competition. I really do feel like this is legit. That is coming from everything I've seen in Westfield. And then also some really long conversations with Chris Ballard over the summer. This is what they regretted the first time around. They gave him the job. The first quarterback competition with Gardner Minshew was an absolute sham. The kid wasn't ready. And the worst part was he played well. Then he got hurt. and then he wasn't in the building every day, and he needed to be in the building to build those daily habits. What happens is he doesn't know what it looks like. He doesn't know what a starting quarterback looks like. And in year 2, he just doesn't have the routine, and his preparation slips, and we are where we are today because of that. I will give the Colts credit. If Anthony Richardson earns this job, he really did earn it this time. And that's the only thing that matters this season is if he earns it, then let's go see what he's made of. Let's go see if he's the guy, because you can't keep doing this every year unless you want to keep talking about this next August.
No. Well, it's funny. We're going to talk about something in a minute that there are so many things revolving around in the past 10 or so years of this franchise that I think most people around here are sick and tired of talking about. And I thought the dynamic, Zach, that you presented regarding the Pacers, you had in the final months of the season here recently, just such an enthusiastic time of which people around here haven't seen forever, and sure as hell haven't seen regarding this football team in forever. Just, the occasional moment here or there. And I think now more than ever, people are starved for it. I mean, just absolutely anything. But I also bring up this cautionary tale. If you end up having either one of these guys out there and you show signs here or there, I mean, when you compare it to recent history, I mean, how far do you have to raise the bar for this to be a legitimate path either or to take for the short term, not just this season, but past this season? What signs have to be seen, you think, for this to be legitimately continued the way that it's going?
Man, I'm going to have to see a lot, John. I mean, don't you? Like, doesn't the fan base? Like, I know, and I grew up here, so, like, the AFC South division titles were a birthright. 10, 11, 12 wins were a birthright. I've had Peyton tell me a million times, like, you don't just roll out of bed and win 12 games. Well, Peyton, you did.
They did.
You guys did that. And that set the standard, and that's a little bit unfair. And then Luck and those teams, they continued that on. I get that. But the reality is, you want to see how far this team's fallen. They haven't won a division in, God, I don't know how long, since like 2014. Every other team in the division has won it twice, and we're not talking about like the AFC West that's loaded. We're not talking about a great division. Like, the reason the Titans have had success, the reason the Jaguars have gone on a little bit of a run is partly because of the Colts' incompetence. Like, the reason the Texans are the kings right now is because the Colts haven't figured this out. And, I mean, it starts in week 1, and I know it's just one game, but, like, for God's sakes, could you win an opener for the first time since, like, the Revolutionary War? Like, it feels like that just sets the tone for the next 6 weeks of the season where they're just always playing catch-up. And I remember Frank Reich telling me, like, they are mentally exhausted from climbing out of the holes they dig themselves every single September. So, look, everything's changed, right? We're talking about winning the opener and how important that is in a in a 17-week season. But I think that's going to tell you a lot, right? If you're going to buy into Richardson this season, if he indeed is the guy, like, start fast. Like, build some hope. Get the fan base behind you. Like, this fan base deserves some consistency and less chaos, because it just feels like the last, gosh, I mean, I've been off the beat 2.5 years, and it still feels like the same chaos I covered in the 2022 season. So we'll see. I know they want quiet. I know they want consistency. I feel like they've done a pretty good job of that during camp, considering they were holding, maybe the least exciting QB competition of all time. But, we'll see. And if Richardson, if it clicks, man, there's hope. Like, hope is not hard to find in that kid.
Here's what's funny. Zach Keefer's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I always highlight, I'm not afraid to describe the importance of an early season game, whether it's week 1 or what have you, the importance of the schedule and particular games. And I look at this Miami game and consider their situation, and there are some similarities with them to that of the Colts, but in their secondary, where it is a absolute new and fresh experience. All right, when you're dealing with a secondary that's either dinged up or new because of defections, which one of these quarterbacks do you think? I'm just talking about Miami to get off to that good start in which you describe hasn't happened in absolutely forever. Who would be the best guy to do that against that team that would seem to be in week number 1 very vulnerable here in the Miami Dolphins?
Yeah, I'm with you. Like for some teams, the opener matters a lot. For like the Chiefs and the Bills and those teams, like it doesn't matter at all. I remember saying in the mid 2000s, like talking with Mike Chappell, like the Colts didn't play a consequential game until like January, right? Because nothing really mattered when you're that good until you get to the postseason. It's the complete opposite with what we're talking about. So let's go back to last year. Anthony Richardson makes maybe the greatest throw I've ever seen in an NFL game for that touchdown to Alec Pierce, right? They're playing the Texans, win a division game, win a huge division game against a team that's going to ultimately win the division crown on your home field. And what happens? They have a 3rd and 7, and the defense you're talking about, the secondary you're talking about, plays that stupid, soft, off-the-ball coverage and gives Nico Collins that comeback route, and the Texans win the game. Texans didn't play very well. I was in their locker room afterward. They were a little surprised at how sloppy they played, and they were still able to get the victory. So I think it does say a lot and how you come out with that secondary against the Dolphins that first week of September. And I think it's going to tell you a lot because it's going to be a tough test, right? They're going to run all over the field. Like, I mean, those receivers are fast dudes. So you spent a lot of money on Bynum and all the additions you made in the secondary. It's time to, like, play up on the line and play more physical. And I know Coach Venturi has talked about that a lot. I've heard a lot of good things about that group in camp. But the reality is what you started the question with is there's no other position group in football that gets dinged up more than a secondary. Hamstrings can linger for 6 weeks. It's just the nature of it. And the fact that they're signing a guy in Xavier Howard that didn't play football last year, I mean, that tells you what they think of the current state of their secondary. Brents can't stay on the field. I mean, that's concerning. That's really concerning because the Dolphins will throw it all over the field very quickly. And you know Mike McDaniel has been scheming up this game for weeks. So,
and my thing is, too, offensively, Zach, more than anything else, is that's a team that you have to have a quarterback that you believe in that's able to really take advantage of a secondary that would seemingly be described as you just described the Colts. So that's kind of where I wonder if this decision does kind of hinge on we got to get off to a great start. You know, and just, I guess, ultimately how interchangeable these decisions at quarterback can be made, because that's the way that it has felt here in recent history at that position. Yeah, just whatever happens, guy's not ready, guy needs to concentrate more, guy's injured. I just wonder if the best place to go for quarterback in week number 1 is the guy that can beat and be successful against a secondary that's very much like the Colts with the Dolphins, that's dinged up beyond belief.
Let me ask you this, John.
Yeah.
If they go with Daniel Jones, do they lose the fan base? Not that matters, right? Because winning solves everything. But I think it's pretty clear what you have in Daniel Jones. He's the same quarterback from what I've seen in the preseason that he was in New York, which is fine, average, not a guy you build around long term. I think there's still a little bit there with Richardson you can tap into, even now, even with the inconsistencies. But do you think the fan base would really tune this team out if they go with Jones and he struggles in that first game against the Dolphins?
Well, you mentioned the Revolutionary War reference a little bit earlier. I'll give you the Civil War reference. There is a gap between older curmudgeon-y folks, I guess like me, and I believe Richardson's going to start. But most of the older generation, they want to see Jones because they believe that they know what they have in Richardson. I think it's the younger generation, and especially the video game dorkery, some, not all, but the younger generation believe Anthony Richardson is something on the field that he might be in a video game, and he's not been close to it. So I think that there's a gap between the younger generation that are Colts fans and the older generation that are Colts fans, and people think that I'm trying to take sides and call the younger generation dorks, which I guess I am, but I'm also referencing myself and my generation as curmudgeon-y. I don't give a crap. I don't care if it's you or I who's a quarterback, as long as you can get off to a good start and you can show some signs, finally, consistency-wise at that position. But I think that is where it is. It's funny. I think that the convenient operation would be going with Richardson because at some point the inevitable will occur. It is going to be an injury or it's going to be ineffectiveness. And if it's not, then, that'll be finally, and you'll feel good about it. But I think that we've all been kind of accustomed to seeing what this is all about. with him at this point in a situation just like this. And until we see it differently, I think that's what we're going to believe. And that's how things are framed up with Colts fans here regarding that position and those two players.
I think you're right, and I think you nailed it on maybe the two sectors of the fan base who are, rooting for one side or the other. And I think it's fascinating that the younger fans are still very much in Richardson camp, despite a lot of obvious evidence that says he's not been consistent enough as a passer. I mean, 47% completion percentage is just untenable in this league. But look, this isn't just about Richardson. This is about Shane Steichen. And I don't know where he stands in Carly Gordon's mind right now, but this is a litmus test for him this season. So pick whoever you want, Shane. Pick whichever quarterback you want. But like you said, John, it doesn't matter which one it is. At the end of the day, you got to win games. You've got to win games. And if this team is incompetent halfway through the season like they were last year, benching their starter, not exactly giving a reason, and then, James Boyd and I's story sort of exploding in terms of what all was going on behind the scenes at the end of the year with players questioning the leadership, you can't have that again and keep this contingent as is. They're just running in circles. The fan base is fed up with it. You're fed up with it. And I don't blame the fan base or you one bit.
That's not a hell of reflection on the operation of this group either, from top to bottom, which certainly has stood out here most recently. Zach Keefer of The Athletic is with us. Now, I suggest this started when they parted ways with Peyton Manning, but I think you can also backpedal to Andrew Luck and deciding to retire 2 weeks before the start of the season as to why they find themselves in this particular purgatory. And I saw here recently you caught up with the former NFL quarterback.
Yeah, this is exactly what you want to be talking about today, right, John?
Yeah,
Right?
We're good friends. I love having you on, but frankly, I would rather jump out this window of the building downtown on the Circle than have to hear any more about Andrew Luck. But I respect your work, buddy. I do, and I know you go about it hard. And let's hear about it. And I won't jump out the window.
No, I totally understand it.
Yes.
I've gotten a little bit of flack from Colts fans.
I'm
that
sure.
don't want to go back, and I 100% get it. I didn't want to go back.
Hey, Zach, if he were to come on this show tomorrow, I'd have him on tomorrow. So
it's the story's not a Colts story. It's a Stanford story. I was told to go out there and basically figure out how he came back to football, and you can't figure out how he came back to football without starting with how he left football. And there's not a lot of Colts in the story, but, the most interesting quote that's being aggregated by every aggregator out there is that he told me he was going to play football until he was 40 or 45. And to that I said, are you effing kidding me? I think that was my reaction. But we don't need to go back to that. It doesn't matter. It's not going to change anything. The reality is he still feels guilt for how it ended. And I remember what you said the next day, because it was in my podcast series that I did about what happened. He said, he doesn't know anything to anybody, but this decision hoses everybody. It just does. Those were your words. And boy, 6 years later, those are very correct words, because it cost Frank Reich his job. It might cost Chris Ballard his job. They have not figured out who this quarterback is. And that's the reality. They've shuffled through God knows how many. I covered all of them until Richardson showed up in 2023. But Andrew's really happy. He's really revived by the challenge that he has at Stanford. He's the GM there. It's really good to see that he's happy. He's doing well. But there's no doubt how it ended, when it ended, and why it ended bothered him. He never regretted his decision. It was the right thing he did for him at that time. But that doesn't mean it didn't hurt like hell. And that doesn't mean that there's still a little bit of guilt in his body about the guys he walked away from and when he did it.
Does he feel guilty about the fan base and the people around here that supported monetarily with their disposable income, about the timing of it especially? Because, listen, we know this to be true. Peyton Manning had always said, all right, if you want to quit, you quit in March if you're that important as a quarterback to your team. You don't do it when he did it. And that was always something. That was always a point of contention about this. Is there any guilt about doing it to people around here that spend hard-earned money to go and have been left with kind of this product in despair since?
I think so. Yeah, I think that's very real for him. I don't think he got enough credit for kind of taking over after Peyton. I mean, I asked him what his rookie year was like, and he said he was swimming upstream the entire season. And I'm like, Andrew, you had one of the best years of any rookie quarterback in history. Your coach was in the hospital, and you won 11 games with a bad team. And I'm not dismissing that team, but that's what Bruce Arians called them, and he was the interim coach. He said, we were crap. They won 11 games and went to the playoffs because that kid was that good. And Andrew said, I was barely keeping my head above water. So it was just a remarkable start. But I think he carried all of it with him, and I think that's why he stayed here for 4 years after he retired. He loved Indy. He loved the people, and there was a guilt. I mean, the guy lived 5 minutes from the team facility. Like, that's
Do he have
remarkable.
guilt in taking $25 million that he didn't earn? You think?
Now, that's a good question. That's a complicated question, but no, we did not get into that.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I was just curious. I didn't want to, the last thing I wanted to do is rehash some of that, but I do respect your writing, buddy, and I wanted you to be able to promote that. And I do know it was more about Stanford and what he's doing now than it was then, but it's tough to talk about that dynamic, as you well know, around here without bringing stuff like that up because
It'll be a lot
the treadmill
less tough
continues
when they figure out who the quarterback is. And
Yeah,
we're still
yes.
waiting.
That's why he's never going to be, really, I don't know, ever in the Ring of Honor because of that. So, to me.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a good question, but in my mind, you got to put T.Y. Hilton in first, and you got to put Adam Vinatieri first.
Yeah, in my mind, you got to put, anybody else in first. I don't know. So, anybody. But anyway, hey, they can find it at The Athletic, right, bud?
Yes, sir.
Hey, man, it's good to talk with you, too. Stay in touch, and thank you. Your writing is so good, I did not jump out the window.
Well, that's the nicest thing I've heard all day. Anytime, John. Anytime. And I promise you next time we will not talk about number 12.
Well, you know what we're going to be talking about the next time is, this quarterback situation, so we'll be ready for that.
Anytime. Thanks,
all right,
man.
Pal. See you. Zach Keefer of the Athletics on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. Hey, go ahead and check it out for yourself. We'll take a break, come back. Stephen Holder, top of the hour. A couple of Colts injury situations I'll get into, kind of the same old, same old. I'll explain next.
Have you ever been in a Turkish prison?
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Now, that's been a big emphasis of mine these past few years, not just last year. I've always been able to make the big play. I'm pretty sure anybody can do that when it's right there. But the routine plays, that's really what I struggle with, throughout my career. And I just want to get better at that, because making the routine plays and just moving the ball down the field, that helps you, stay on the field, move the ball, get down in the red zone so you can guarantee some points and secure some points. So I just want to, just get better at that. And when the big plays do come, I'll be able to hit them.
That's Anthony Richardson. Richardson or Jones? I think we just need to go ahead and have like the rest of the show, Richardson or Jones, and see if there is a tremendous generational gap, as I suggest. JMV, you just had Zach Keefer on, and you really downplayed his story on Andrew Luck. Do you not think that was, this is their words, not mine here, James Dickish of me. It was not. Can I say that?
I mean, you already have, so.
Do you think that was... Do I have to blank that out? That wasn't, I didn't say it. It's ish.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are certain rules depending on it. Like if you are referring to the phallic object.
Okay. So I was just acting like, okay. I'm more, did I act that way to Zach? Because I didn't feel I did.
No, I think you handled that pretty well.
Am I struggling in judging myself here recently? Is that a problem? You think?
It could be. I heard some stuff. Apparently, people were giving you crap about Kenny Moore last week or something.
They were giving me crap, and then he ends up sending a next message out about me. Did you not see it?
I did not see it.
Because I asked him. I said, "Well, let's do a test here," because he had something earlier in the week on X that kind of blew up into something that he didn't mean.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, "Hey, let's do a test when you're done with me here. Go back to wherever your room is and get on your phone and say JMV is ... I'll go right here and find it. Actually, I do have a note regarding the Colts I'll get to. But here I am trying to prove myself right. Kenny Moore, asking for a friend. JMV is... Now, it's not a question mark. It's an exclamation. So
it's a fill in the blank.
Yeah, fill in the blank.
There's some good
There's some good
in here.
stuff.
Lots of positivity.
Let's go ahead and fast forward to the bad here. Fun to drink with, by the way. Blue Meanie, shout out. All right. Mike should take over. I like that. Colts curmudgeon, a fine person, but he drones on forever. I stop listening. I don't drone. Droning is this. That's why I have to speak with some inflection. If you speak with inflection, it's not droning.
Calvin says you're sometimes an asshole.
You can't say that on the air.
I can say. Can you not say that?
No, you can't.
Oh.
You better bleep that out.
Oh.
Wait a minute. Since when did I become the voice of reason on this show about what can be said and what can't? Am I all grown up?
Apparently.
A fanboy of you. Not of you, but of Kenny Moore. All right, I'm going to look for the rest of it. Drunk, Brian Haas. I like Brian a great deal. That's really meaningful, Haas, to me. Actually, I think there are a bunch of people out here that think I'm a drunk now for some reason. Sometimes I like to have a drink. What are you going to do? I am a social drinker.
I think they've just heard about your the Casa de Watson excursions.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I get loose there. That was yesterday too, baby.
Oh.
Shout out to Jeff and Glenda Watson for letting us get loose at the Paradise de Watson. God, I needed that. I was here seriously on Saturday morning. Oh, woe was me, right? Yeah, get the little tiny violin going. 9:30 a.m. I got here on Saturday morning and left at 1:15 in the morning.
Oh.
That was a humdinger, but I had a hell of a time. Oh, irrelevant. I'm irrelevant. Wow. I'm just going to read the bad ones. The good ones, I appreciate the nice things you guys say about me. But Mississippi says, someone whose job is to stir the pot, not much more insight than your average football fan. Lots of complaints, very few solutions. No, I've had lots of solutions. So, horrible, unlistenable. Ooh, stoned. I like that one, too. Oh, yeah, there's your sometimes one right there. Gotcha. So thank you, Kenny Moore. So what I'm getting to is there was no issue there. And it's funny, I talked to Matt Conti about it, too, because Matt is privy to all this stuff. He's the head of media for the Colts, and he's privy to all this stuff, too. And I asked Kenny in that conversation, I said, you become more laid back. And I didn't want to say aloof because I don't think he's aloof, but people can take that the wrong way. So I said more laid back. And I think he's a little bit more thoughtful about things that he says. So he takes time and he pauses and he thinks about it. So that was the point I made. And then everybody thought that I went haywire or whatever right there. So that's it. That was it regarding Kenny Moore, but I thought it was really good. Claude Banks says, according to my childhood friend, this weekend I'm a drunk too. Well, aren't we? 2 peas in a pod, Claude. I like to socially hang. I can't help myself, especially when it's right across the road from my house, right? Asking for a friend is the key. You're good. Thank you, Jim McCann. Rex Hampton, the real question is Minchie or Carr? Thank you. JMV, we are past the development point with AR as why we should keep players. No need for JT, Pittman, Buckner, trade them, let them win somewhere else. I will say this, Brian. I don't think that I'm not compelled to suggest, Brian, that's this year and now. But if this thing goes haywire and there looks like it's an absolute renovation of everything, then, Brian, that is 100% accurate right there. I'll get to that and a couple of Colts stories, too, regarding injuries. What's new? We'll do that, and Stephen Holder coming up in a little over 15 minutes. 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
1075, The Fan.
Yeah, about 12 minutes for Stephen Holder. Zach Keefer a little bit earlier. And, I felt compelled to mention, I didn't finish the point I was trying to make. I wasn't trying to be a jerk at all to Zach Keefer. I just think that most people around here don't want to hear much more regarding Andrew Luck. And I certainly don't think, and Zach is a tremendous writer. He is a friend of the show, and he is a compliment to the show whenever he comes on. However, there are a lot of people when you say, well, I feel guilty for my teammates. You should feel guilty about everything. Understand the impact. And then the whole $25 million as a parting gift, there's a lot more than just your teammates to feel guilty about. Yet another reason why I don't ever want to get into this conversation in the first place. But Zach had a very well-written article about Andrew Luck at Stanford and what he is doing as the general manager out there. And you can check it out at The Athletic. And I like having Zach on a great deal, but I would feel compelled to tell you that I understand if you're worn out on the subject because I've long since been worn out. JMV, if they start Daniel Jones week 1, I should say, week 11, if they start Daniel Jones in week 1, I'm going to go out and buy a Josh Allen jersey and not look back. That is a part of the text stream that we have, the text line at 317-239-1070. I mean, after 2 preseason games in practice of both of them throwing, who do you vote for? I know that I saw, I think it was the Indy Star that had a poll. Let me see if I get this accurately. There's a poll out, and there are a lot of them, but this one regarding the quarterback decision. The Star has a poll where 90% of the fans want Richardson to start. What has he done to get that type of loyalty? And here's how I would put that. I would put that in the category of you feel that, and this is lame as heck, but you feel that you can catch lightning in the bottle and there is still something to be uncovered with him. There are more believers in that than there are, for example, non-believers, as I was a year ago. Hey, you can go ahead and move on right now and everything's going to be okay because we've seen enough. I mean, how many different times you got to restart this? I mean, how much do you not know already? I mean, how much can be soaked up before you just say, all right, this is just kind of what it's going to be like? So I completely get it. Now, I mean, to me, my point has been the younger generation like Richardson, the older like Jones. But really, for the older generation, it doesn't matter if it's Jones or Flacco or Minshew, because the older generation, you have seen the greatness around here, and you view AR as never being that. So you're thinking, you know what? My time right here is of the essence. Let's go ahead and kickstart something that's going to work and not continue down a path of something that hasn't and won't. The text line continues, the 317-239-1070. And David's up next on the phones. Hello, David. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
Great, David. Go ahead.
You know, I live in Chicago, but born and raised in Indianapolis.
Yes.
I'm older than you are. I'm 61, and I want AR to start. I do not want to see Daniel Jones as the starter because we know what he is. AR is younger than Shedeur Sanders. He has less than a season of NFL starts under his belt. He needs an opportunity to evolve and mature. He's as young as a baby's bottom, but he's got more ability than anybody else in that division. And so to think that because he's had a rocky start, and I'm as frustrated as anybody with his injuries, but let's give the guy a legitimate shot at being an NFL quarterback. I don't think that's happened yet.
Well, what you just described to David is exactly why I've said since March he's going to get the start, and I haven't put too much stock in this competition in the first place. True story.
Yeah, I think that I hope that's correct. If Daniel Jones starts, we know what we have. Daniel Jones is a vet. AR is a baby. He's younger than, I think I read where he's younger than every rookie drafted this year except for Cam Ward. If that's the case, he's got a lot of growing to do.
Hey, David, in closing here, do you understand an opinion like mine, though, to where would you understand, as I have said, that I think I have seen enough? And, like, for example, I said that a year ago. Was that too quick? Or do you understand why I have drawn that particular conclusion without believing that I'm just what people like to reference as a hater?
No, I really like you, JMV, for the record. But I think I understand it, but I think you're wrong.
Okay. That's fair.
It's easy to be frustrated. But, he's such a young kid. Even when he tapped out last year, that really bugged me. But I understood it. I think, because I was a high school football coach for many years, I think that kid saw other people tapping out like linemen and linebackers and thought he could do it. He didn't do it because, and then admitted it. Because that's immaturity and stupidity. It's not, anything more, sinister or devious than that. The kid just didn't know. Give him a chance to grow up, and I think at least I'm hoping that we'll benefit from it.
David, I appreciate David from the older generation trying to debunk my theory of the generational gap in year 3 of Andrew Luck. Andrew Luck, what? Hold on a second. Yes, I'm only a social drinker of Anthony Richardson. Stephen Holder with the latest coming up from ESPN, ESPN.com, coming up at the top of the hour. Lance McAllister later on this week. So the Reds got a win over the Brewers. Hallelujah. Cubs not faring so well against the Brew Crew this afternoon. Middle of 7-0. The Beer Makers at Wrigley Field in Chicago. Reds and Halos coming up later on tonight from Southern California. Stephen Holder and I coming up on the other side, and hopefully you as well. The Stream the App, HD Radio, the AAA Membership Lounge via YouTube Live. Do not go anywhere. It's 93.5, 107.5 The Fan.
The dictionary, you know what you'll find?
A picture me?
No! The definition of the word idiot, which you f***ing are.
93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Before, it would kind of like play with my mind a little bit. I would say I would feel more comfortable before in the past, but now it's just, it's just routine now. If I miss, I miss. If I hit it, I hit it. I can't think about it too much, because if I do that, then it's going to impact the next play, and I can't let that happen. So the big ones, they're there. I feel like I can hit those anytime. The small, short ones, the routine plays, so to speak, I feel like I hit those now anytime that I need to. So I'm just confident in my play style right now, and I'm just ready to get to it.
It's Anthony Richardson. Decision 2025 looms. Welcome into hour number 3 of this show. I believe I'm with the Indy 11 coming up on Wednesday, and I believe that is the only day this week that I am going to be at. However, next week, a tavern tour stop at Sid's. I'm rocking this shirt inside the AAA membership lounge via YouTube Live. You can check it out. Sid's on the square in Noblesville, and then back-to-back at Mystic Waters Campground Friday, and then Saturday with the JMV takeover of Labor Day weekend. So make sure you're going to be a part of it. The one thing that I may dislike even more than talking about Andrew Luck anymore is that Civil War Andrew Luck thing, that parody account online. I hated every second of that.
You didn't like the Captain Andrew Luck account?
I hate Captain Andrew Luck account. I can't be the only one. There's another one for you inside the text line. For some reason, that's very hard for me to comprehend. The text line at 317-239-1070. Do you hate, or did you hate, because hopefully it's gone now. Can it be gone forever? I know that Zach Keefer's kind of stirred the echoes. We talked to Zach last hour, the podcast at 1075thefan.com. But can it be gone forever? Do you dislike it as much as I do? Because I think it stinks. On the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline, let's get him on here. ESPN, He's going to bail in about 17 minutes. I'm assuming Stephen Holder. We got breaking news at 20 after the hour. You're doing a live hit on ESPN. What is going to take you away from this incredible program?
No, just my Uber duties for the kid.
Wait a minute. You got to make it more compelling than that. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, but however, the breaking news always comes at the worst time. So if it's going to happen, it'll happen when I'm in the car with her.
Yes,
so
yes,
there's that.
Exactly.
That's my experience.
I'm not trying to bury the lead right here, but I will jump to that because we got plenty of time for that in a second. But the hits literally keep on coming. Hunter Wohler, the season ender with the Liz Frank injury. We know about Blake Freeland breaking the leg. We saw that on Saturday afternoon. I mean, an already dinged secondary. We got to go out and get a 32-year-old corner that didn't play a year ago, and Xavier Howard. This is a scrambling bunch right now, player personnel-wise, isn't it?
Yeah, I think the frontline players will mostly be available, I think, in the short term. I do think that. Like, the Kenny Moores, for example, and such, but the problem is your depth is really taking a hit right now. And when your depth starts to erode this early, that's when you get into problems, because you typically over the course of a season, you are going to eat into your depth because injuries are guaranteed, and that's just the game. It is what it is. But when they're coming this early, now you're scrambling before you've even hit the starting line. That's a bad place to be. And frankly, they were there to a degree with the secondary last year at this time, and that ended up being a big problem. So I don't think we can sort of downplay this and say, well, they have time or what have you. I mean, it is really early to be eating into your depth to this degree. So yeah, let's see if they can get through it.
Is the whole Howard connection relationship because of that visit, that workout in Cincinnati in December with Lou Anarumo when he was still employed by the Bengals? Is that how this all materialized? I know that obviously you're just, any port in the proverbial storm here, but is that how this connection was made?
Well, the connection between him and Anarumo goes all the way back to Miami, his rookie year. So he was his defensive backs coach his first 2 years in Miami. And there was that workout, yes. The Bengals worked him out. You know, they had a bunch of defensive issues last year, as you probably remember, which led to Lou getting fired. So they worked him out in December. He kind of liked what he saw, but they worked him out again here in the last day or so, is my understanding. The Colts did. They had an in-person workout here. They were pretty impressed. I mean, I didn't see it. I'm just going by what I was told. And they thought he was in pretty good shape and in pretty good health, at least. You know, looked like he could still play. I'm very curious to see him, because all I can tell you is that no one signed this guy last year. And to me, that's a big red flag. You know, why is that? And so I don't know. I haven't gotten a good answer on that, but there were some legal issues that may have played a role in that. I don't know. He's not been accused of a crime, but he's got, you know, you can look it up for yourself. There's a lot going on there, but it's some issues with women that he dated, and there's some stuff going on there. Lawsuits have been filed and what have you. Whether that was a part of it, I don't know, but I do wonder, right? Here's a guy who's a 4-time Pro Bowler, who was an All-Pro in 2020, 10 interceptions in 2020, and he was sitting on the couch all last year. That's kind of stunning, right? Even for a guy at that age, you know. So I want to see, you know, what are the Colts seeing that no one else is seeing? You know, that's what I'm interested in seeing when he gets out there to practice, presumably tomorrow. But I'll be looking. I'll be evaluating, see what he looks like.
You would think that I mean, it's more in this case. You roll the dice here more than just it being a necessity for camp and a body here, right? I mean, if you're just going to do that, you just bring in, you know, dude from wherever. But yeah, I mean, when you look at, you know, 2024 was not great for him when it comes to accusations, Stephen.
No, that is true. Look, I think you're right. I mean, they're making a calculation here that tells me they need him. And it also suggests perhaps that Jalen Jones' injury is going to be a while. You know, they did admit, Shane Steichen did admit that hamstring, because he and Juju Brents have hamstring injuries. Shane did admit that Jones' hamstring was worse and more concern than Juju Brents. So I have to assume maybe that thing is a little more serious than maybe we realize for them to make this move. Because you are correct. If you're just looking for somebody to get you through the third preseason game, you know, and take some practice snaps, well, anybody can do that, right? But this was a somewhat aggressive move. They're potentially going to pay him a decent amount of money if what's been reported is true. I'm sure there's a lot of incentives in there, but I think $4 or $5 million is the max on this. So it's not nothing, you know. So yeah, I agree with you on that. This says that this guy could be, you know, someone they think is going to be here for a while.
So Stephen Holder of ESPN, ESPN.com. He's on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. We've buried the lead long enough, but I'm going to give you one more minute of it, too. I talked to Kenny Moore on Thursday, and he was very concerned that I would violate HIPAA laws. So in a very funny way, he expressed it. But you don't seem yourself concerned about this being a long-term into the regular season situation for him.
I don't believe so. That's not what I've heard. I don't know if you can, you know, if you can kind of shed any light.
He didn't tell me jack squat. No, he didn't. He just said, he said, you can't be violating my HIPAA or something like that. And I said, I don't even know what that means.
No, that's not. Medical privacy laws.
Yeah, I know. I go, come on, man.
Follows.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really want to get into your medical privacy. I'm just asking if you're okay. So, yeah.
Right. I think that one, at least from what's been, you know, kind of suggested to us, that won't be a long-term injury. So I'm just going to kind of count on that being true, and hopefully that is the case. But they don't seem terribly worried about that one. Kenny's a veteran. He'll be ready to go, you know, with a couple of weeks of practice, I presume. They still have 3 weeks before their opener. So they're feeling pretty good about that. So they're giving these guys a chance to really heal and get to the starting line, in one piece.
He is Stephen Holder with us. All right, finally now with the quarterback situation. I mentioned this at the outset. Normally when you have a competition, the hope is to make one or the other in this competition raise the bar of their game. I haven't seen that. So to me, if we haven't seen that, then it goes back to square one. And square one equates to 5 in week 1 to me. What say you?
So I would disagree a little bit. I think that what we have seen from Anthony Richardson is an improvement. And I don't know what it's going to look like on Sundays yet, but just in terms of him doing the things that are improving on things that were problematic for him, he has done that. Now, that's not going to get, fixing your footwork isn't going to turn him into, Michael Vick tomorrow or Patrick Mahomes, I guess, or something. But it is, I think, a big step because his accuracy was bad last year, as you know, if you saw the games. Those feet and that footwork will help that accuracy. So that's good. And we have seen him throw more accurately, so that's good. And particularly in the short and intermediate stuff, which was just a mess last year. So that's been much better. He's not going to be a Kirk Cousins 70% passer. That's not his game. He's never going to be that, I don't think. But if he can be closer to 60%, then it becomes workable. Now, to your point, though, I don't think this was a situation where one guy significantly outplayed the other guy. That's not what this was. They were pretty close all the way through. And that's why I have been emphasizing that I believe some of the little things that maybe are not as obvious to us will be a big factor in deciding this for Shane Steichen. And I'm talking about things he mentioned on Saturday. Getting guys lined up, making the checks at the line of scrimmage, getting the protections right. Those are areas that Daniel Jones is going to be better at than Anthony Richardson because he's got 7 years in the league and played a lot of games. So I don't want people to overlook that. That's an important part of this for Shane Steichen, agree or disagree.
What's your tail of the tape right now?
Well, if I'm making the decision and I'm not.
Well, you are right here.
No one asked me, which I found weird.
I just did, yeah.
But no one at 56th Street asked me. But anyhow,
okay.
I would go with Richardson. And my take on this is pretty simple, I think. I think what you lose with Richardson versus Daniel Jones, maybe, the consistency. I think you're also sacrificing some things, though, that'll cost you. And what you're sacrificing is the higher ceiling, the explosiveness, and just that moxie that we saw late in games against the Patriots and the Jets. There was some sort of stiff upper lip there, if that makes any sense. And I'm saying, he showed something, and I think moxie is the right word, right? He showed the ability to stand tall at the end of the game and make plays, winning plays, and Daniel Jones, I think what you're doing there is Daniel Jones is a little more along for the ride, and Daniel Jones is just at the controls, and if everything goes well, you can win because your quarterback probably won't screw it up. But if he's going to win you a game, I feel less strongly about that with Daniel Jones. So I think the likely outcome is that you end up in largely the same place no matter which quarterback you play. So play the guy with the upside, play the young guy, the guy you haven't seen for 6 years, be the same guy. That's what I do.
And you also know that relatively quickly there's going to be a reason not to play him anymore, and then Jones is going to be thrust into that category anyway. Now,
well, I mean that's absolutely possible, right?
Does that at all play a role in the thought process between, Irsay Gordon, Ballard, and Steichen in this final decision category?
I mean, it would for me. I don't know. You would think, right? You would think. I don't know where they stand, but you would think. And here's why I would say yes. Because if he either screws it up, if he becomes, the guy we saw in Houston last year, if he turns into that guy all of a sudden and he's overwhelmed again, well, you sit him down and you tell him, thanks, but we appreciate the effort. We're playing Daniel Jones. You shake hands and you walk away. If he gets hurt, which he certainly has done, it is what it is, right? At least you have had another look and really just kind of made sure of what you have there. If he doesn't start this year, if you go with Daniel Jones, let's say Daniel Jones plays wire to wire. I have no idea, but let's just play this out, right? If Daniel Jones plays wire to wire, then what are we doing at the end of the season? What is your quarterback future? Who is Anthony Richardson? None of those questions have been answered, right? So at least give yourself an opportunity to answer the question is what I would say. But again, they didn't ask me.
Stephen Holder of ESPN and ESPN.com is with us. I know you got to run in just a second. So let's just say decision comes out. You get a story later on tonight. Decision comes out, made official coming up tomorrow. How's that make Cincinnati look on Saturday? How are they going to approach that personnel-wise?
So I think the way to play Cincinnati on Saturday is nobody plays. It needs to be, frankly, to be blunt, it needs to be the future Amazon warehouse employees playing in that game. Okay? They have too many injuries. They're too beat up. And I think, frankly, they don't have a lot of roster decisions to make here. Okay? They know their team for the most part. The guys they got to make decisions about are, frankly, the guys who probably need to play in that game anyway, the guys at the bottom of the roster. So play your rookies, play your young guys, play the long shots, let them get some film. That's what I'd do. I don't think there's any reason to put these guys out there. They played a lot of starters on this past Saturday. I think that was a good enough look. I would move on with my life and get on to week one. That's what I do.
Any surprise categories of recognizable names that may not make this roster that we would see as cut here? Anybody?
Good question. I don't think so. I think most of the spots are spoken for. I don't think there's going to be anything terribly shocking, frankly. I really don't. And frankly, the injuries have maybe ensured that maybe some guys who were on the bubble, they probably make it because they need the depth in certain places. You know what I mean? So I don't think you're going to have a lot of shockers. This will be, I think, one of the easier cuts they've made, and they'll be all right. But the question is going to be health and certainly under center as well.
All right. Most important game of the season is week number 1, by the way. You've heard it here first. I think I say that every year. It's even more magnified this year, though.
Yeah, there is something to be said for getting off to a good start. If you are every single season climbing out of a hole, either 0-1 or 0-2, it's not good for your psyche. It's not good for just the overall morale of your team. I don't think it's the end-all, be-all per se, but that has to be exhausting to continually be climbing out of a hole after week 1. For 12 straight years or something? That enough is enough, right? I'm with you.
You got it. All right. Go pick up, and we'll hope no breaking news happens while you're doing that. I was hoping for something a little bit more profound, but that's understandable. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. Hey, great seeing you on Saturday, too.
Yep. See you soon, man.
That's good. Stephen Holder, ESPN, ESPN.com, on the Andy Moore Automotive Group hotline. I have time to bring this back up, and I do have calls, and I'm going to get you your calls, and if you're not there, I will get you your calls. Plenty of time to do it, but I did mention this a little bit earlier. I kind of teased this, and you're going to say, oh, there he goes again with thoughts on basketball, but I do have 2 thoughts. With the Fever and their come from behind win, and Kelsey Mitchell was incredible, scoring 38. And then Sophie Cunningham, we await official word regarding the extent of her injury, which looked awful. And there have been some reports out there that aren't great. But in terms of being injured on that play purposely, come on. Seriously, come on. I've said this before, too. We all fully understand how bad the WNBA officials are. really what you can do is take some of the worst officials you've ever seen, and then it's like times 100. It's that bad. But you got to deal with it because you're in it. But that was not a situation to where there was anything purposely done. There's just got to be some sort of exorcism that somebody can perform, because this is a problem across the landscape around. It is just non-stop impactful injuries. And that brings me to this point. You have thought of me as being a little bit crazy. You have described me as being a little bit of a basketball fanboy. You have suggested that this is going to be a throwaway Pacer season in 25 and 26. It's not me. I'm a firm believer in this group. And really, nobody has been on board with me. This is a ship that I have launched, and I have launched alone. Except now somebody seems to be on board. And I don't know who this somebody is. I know that the site is called The Ringer. Now, have we had somebody on from The Ringer before? Do you know?
We may have, but it's definitely not been any time recently.
Have we had? Because
I can't tell you off the top of my head.
Dorky dude that we've had on before?
I definitely
they know their stuff, but they're kind of dorky. But they know. I mean, you can know your stuff and be a little bit dorky. I know my stuff, and I'm incredibly dorky. I'll own it. Yeah, not really. That was the other thing, too, by the way, with Kenny Moore's response, James. I'm full of myself.
Oh, really?
I am not. There is nobody out there that owns stuff as much as I do. And I fail on so many different levels. But dorky, I am not. Matt Dollinger's this guy's name. He writes for The Ringer. I don't think he's ever been on this show. Here's the quote. It's been nearly 2 months since Game 7 of the NBA Finals, but it sort of feels like it's been 2 years. Pacers fans have been endlessly cycling through the 5 stages of grief like their dopamine-laced Instagram reels. First, there was denial. There's no way Tyrese Halliburton actually tore his Achilles, right? Then anger. Blank, 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 blank. Then bargaining. Well, maybe Andrew Nembhard will be just as good as Halliburton. Then depression. Why do I even watch basketball? Then finally acceptance. Sigh. T.J. McConnell for life. I think there's a lot of truth to what Matt Dollinger says right there. Given the calm and the fact that I am here for it, I will claim that I think the Halliburton-less Pacers could still be extremely pesky this season. What is that? You guys, any familiarity in that sound right there? That's even a word I can't pronounce. There's something else I own. Familiarity. It's a struggle. Extremely pesky this season. Could possibly even best. Hold on a minute, because the earth is about to shake, basketball fans. Are you ready? Even best the 50-win plateau and be a 4 seed. Or, I'm sorry, that earned them a 4 seed a year ago. So, this writer believes they could be better than they were in the regular season a year ago. Outside of Halliburton and Miles Turner, the entire roster that slayed the Bucks, crushed the Cavs, shocked the Knicks, pushed the Thunder to the absolute limit. Losing your franchise player for an entire season about as crushing as it gets. But when you consider who the Pacers will be plugging in place, the situation feels a lot lighter. Who said this before? Somebody's copying off my work. So in short, Dollinger of The Ringer is a believer. Much like your good friend sitting right here talking to you right now, every afternoon from 3 until 6, Monday through Friday, a true believer in the team concept of this Pacers. Maybe not to the limit as we witnessed a year ago, but a believer in this not being a throwaway and an incredibly competitive season. Somebody else just launched off the dock on my ship. in 25 and 26 for this Pacer team. Feels good. We'll respond to that on the other side. The latest, if you want to talk about the quarterback debate here with the Colts, we can certainly do that as well. Don't go anywhere. Time for you at 239-1070 is next.
I think we have to start again.
93.5 and 107.5, The Fan.
I mean, I would say yeah, but to be real, I haven't really even been thinking about it too much. I've just been trying to make sure I'm at the best of my ability. So when week one does pop up and show up, and if I am the guy, if I'm not the guy, I'm ready. Ready for anything that comes to me. They'll make a decision whenever they do. I'm not too worried about it, honestly. I'm just trying to make sure I'm at the best of my ability for the season, not just, for training camp or preseason or anything like that.
Anthony Richardson. So who you got? Richardson or Jones? Stephen Holder, Zach Keefer. Podcast with each 107.5, thefan.com. Where you can also find 317-239 1070. Not only is that a number, and we're going to get to your calls in a second, but it is also a text line. And we have a check-in. JMV, I'm completely with your line of thinking. I want the team to be successful no matter who runs. The fan base needs the team to win and maybe concentrate on not so much it being the quarterback that you love, but just the winning. Listen, I don't care how they go about doing it, but the winning portion and then some enthusiasm, a little interest, a little juice, a little something. Consistency, not just that moment here or there. This is right now a juiceless organization. And if anybody can step up and provide what is necessary, don't you think we all unite? The younger, dorky generation of video gamers, the old, curmudgeon-y, 55-year-old, social drinking old farts like me? Don't we all come together? Don't we all mesh? We all mix? If that occurs, the problem that you have is we all are similar in this capacity. And that similarity is we are non-believers. And this is something that they have to show us. There is that particular divide. And that is where we find ourselves in that debate. At least to me. JMV, so Luck felt so guilty. Why did he keep that $25 million bonus? Yeah, I know. Actually, that almost gives me spasms to think about those moments. JMV, I think the Anthony Richardson thing is personal to me. I'm sick of shelling out a bunch of money and time to go to watch him complete 10 of 30 passes for 110 yards at home games. Text line is smashing it right there. JMV, if Anthony can anticipate blitzes, have a pocket presence, and make 5 to 10 yard passes at 60%, Colts are going to be good. Taylor, running back room, yardage, can't turn the ball over, poor turnovers, plagued. They are hoping for the best. JMV, I agree with you. The Civil War Luck thing was maybe the most cringy thing of this century. You know what? I don't really mind this whole text stream thing. That's all right. I keep calling it text stream, and I don't think it should be that. Where's this 219 coming from right here? You guys got to tell me who you are and where you're from. This adds a dynamic. And by the way, James, how can I not type in anything in here? Can I only get back with those that send me something? Can I not just send something out to the entire room?
I'm not sure you can.
Son
I know you
of
can
a
reply,
gun.
but I'm not sure if you can just send
I'm
out a
going to
mass
send something
text.
up to the whole room here. This is Adam from the region that just sent that. Chesterton, Indiana, the check-in right there. The home of what former IU great? Matt Nover. Chesterton, shout out. You know who else is from the region? Tony Donahue. Tony D. Wonder if he got to Chevelle. Did you go see Chevelle? And
I did not know.
It's not hardcore enough for you.
Yeah.
Hey, JMV, did you know that Matt Dollinger was at IU and got to cover the Tom Crean years? I did not know that. Should I have known that? He was also a website writer for the Colts. How did I not know this? Jim McCann in Southern California is giving me like multi-reasons as why I should know who Matt Dollinger is. I feel bad. Reach out to Matt Dollinger because I may also be pronouncing his name wrong. I feel bad. I got to give a shout out to Smitty. Smitty's got a barbershop on the south side. He's going to cut my hair this week. But, James, I went through like the first 6 games yesterday morning, a pickup basketball hoop at CG Central, and James Wood was playing too, and I was calling Smitty by the wrong name. You know what I called him? Chad.
Oh, no.
Way to go, Chad. Nice look, Chad.
You should just double down on it.
Nice job, Chad.
Just keep calling him Chad from
Called
here on
him
out.
Chad.
That's his name now.
Can I not come up with anything more douchey than Chad? Hey, Chad. My bad, Smitty. So Smitty's going to barber. He's going to barber. That what you call it, barbering? He's going to barber my hair. Debbie at Great Clips will have to take a break for this month. And Chad, or Smitty, is going to barber up my hair.
I didn't know that barber could be used as a verb.
Barber. He's going to barber up my do. Chad. He finally said, my name's Smitty. It's not Chad. Gosh. Old and curmudgeon-y. Donahue says, Chevelle was great. Jim Gaffigan is also from Chesterton. Where's my invite to hoop? Don't call me Chad. My bad. Chris Wildridge used to work here, and he works for a different set of stations now, but he's a good dude. Ask this. I just got in the car. What happened to Hunter Wohler? Liz Frank injury, Chris. Done for the season. There's no Chad, but at 239-1070, there is an Adam. Adam, welcome to the show. How are you?
Hey, John, how you doing today?
Great. Adam, great to see you and the fam on Saturday, buddy.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to give you a shout-out. It was awesome to actually finally meet you.
I'm glad you came up there. You got to hang out a little bit. By the way, to refresh some memories, Adam is a fantastic runner, and he runs for enjoyment and not just for punishment, as I used to.
Yeah, that's me.
Yes, the enjoyment, which I don't get. I think you're a little bit crazy, but I like you a great deal. You and the family, it was a great meeting up with you.
Oh, yeah, you too. And hopefully we'll be doing that more often here at the games or at that Mystic Waters event that you're going to have.
Oh, man. Get yourself a cabin up there, too.
I was talking to her about that the other day. Like, wonder how much it is for a cabin.
If my cabin is a rockin', go ahead and come on in. You don't even have to knock. Just come in. The cabin's going to be rocking.
Cool.
I know. I just grossed you out. My bad, Adam. Go ahead. Regain your train of thought. I know you have a question, and the whole rockin' cabin thing took you off your game. My bad.
It's all good. No, I was saying I was going to, instead of you saying you have to get a barber cut, you should just tell everybody that you're about to get a fresh cut.
I'm getting a fresh.
Or like maybe even a fade.
I just like saying barbered. I'm going to say barbered. So
hey,
Smitty's going to barber me.
If it works for you, hell, it works for everybody.
Yeah, I feel bad I called him Chad for like 6 games yesterday.
Yeah. So about the QB conversation, I want to touch on a couple things. I'm thinking I want to go with AR. I'm thinking it should be AR. Now, I know a lot of listeners aren't going to agree with me, but AR, Riley Leonard, and Daniel Jones as QB3.
As QB2 is what you said?
Well, Daniel Jones is QB3, so that would be
AR,
Riley Leonard, and Daniel Jones is QB3.
So are you going to make sure to say I get riled up for Riley?
Hey, I mean, whatever. I mean, if it works, it works. Make some signs or whatever.
Hey, buddy, I got to run, but it was great to see you and the family on Saturday. Let's do it again soon.
Will do. Thank you.
You got it. That's Adam, the avid runner. He does not do it for punishment like we do. He does it for the fun of it, enjoyment. By the way, James, it is Smitty's in the chair. Oh, I got a great one coming up here. Great. This is smitties.inthechair.com.
Oh, he's got a website.
He does. Dustin Smith. Smitty. Dustin's Barbershop. Smitty's Barbershop, I think is what it is, on the south side.
Gotcha.
Madison Avenue, I believe. His name is not Chad. Ooh, this is some good stuff. Do I have to go right now? Because this could carry a segment or two right here.
We should hit a break here soon.
Oh, man, please. This is I make videos before every Saturday night, really a lot, but before every Saturday night show. This guy is named, I'm going to give his name, is that okay? It better be Ben Tenen. He is a huge fan of mine.
Oh, really?
Actually, I'll tell you what. Ben Tenen just sent me an exclusive message commenting on a video. I'm going to save the best for last right here. I think that Vanessa Williams had that song that was a hit back in the 1990s. It was nothing but the 90s this past weekend. Saving the best for last from Ben Tenen.
Doing a bit of a tease.
Here. Guys, do not want to go anywhere. You'll enjoy this. Back to close up things, and Ben Tenen makes an appearance. Next.
Nowhere else to go. 93.5 and 107.5. The Fan.
Crank it up for me, James, would you? We did nothing but the 90s on Saturday night. The lovely and talented Vanessa Williams. We saved the best for last. Turn it up. Saving the best for last. This from Ben Tennant. I get one hell of a kick out of all of this. And even more so, I make a video before I go on every Saturday night for the JMV Takeover. And Ben just responded to this. It's very heartfelt. You can tell how much he cares here. Ben writes, fat blank. I mean, right out of the gate, I got it. Fat blank. Needless, and this is kind of, it's not well written. This is not Shakespearean at all here. Needless in your blank, you are a suck, a door bag, such a blank, none athlete, needle insertion, arrogance, POS. Wait a minute. I've got to make a shirt. Can the shop make a shirt out of that?
Absolutely.
That is the best shirt of all time right there. Needle insertion, arrogance, POS. Guilty as charged.
What a beautiful way with words this guy has.
Needle insertion. You are ridiculously losing it, which she's not too far off. You're such a wannabe. You're a clown. And, of course, in true Shakespearean fashion, it is pretty funny.
What's the what's the deal on all the the pronunciation
man, it's all like your
run-on
is
sentence.
like, you are is Y-O-U-R spelled. I mean, I don't know if he was doing this voice to my Facebook page or what here. But I will say this, I am incredibly proud. The line of needle insertion, arrogance, POS is maybe one of the greatest I've ever heard right here.
That is a good one. That's
Yes.
a T-shirt right there.
So, hey, Brian or Alex, if you're listening from the shop in Broad Ripple and Carmel, I definitely need a needle insertion, arrogance, POS shirt made stat. Thank you. And the best part about this whole thing, as I saved the best for last, is Ben Tennant, who just wrote that, invited me to follow him.
Well, why wouldn't you want to?
I love it. Man, that's awesome.
With such beautiful writing like that,
Invited
don't you
me
want
to
more of that?
follow him. I've saved the best for last. Thank you, Ben. The needle insertion stuff's great. Hey, by the way, Rhino from Connorsville checking in. We've got Billy from Tyler, Texas. And if you wouldn't mind, in our text stream from now on, name and location so I can shout you. Well done with that. I kind of enjoyed it. James had mentioned we're enjoying it. I think I enjoyed that a great deal. I just got to find out how I can send out messages to everybody. And maybe I can come up with the pageantry in words, the absolute wordsmanship of Ben Tennant. That was awesome. All right, James, thank you very much. Stephen Holder, Zach Keefer, podcast 1075thefan.com. I'm going to take my needle insertion, arrogance, POS, rear end down the road and rejoin you coming up tomorrow at 3. You guys okay with that? Thank you all. Great time today on this Monday. Back with you tomorrow at 3. Hopefully we'll have a starting quarterback in week 1 to talk about. Talk to you then.